Broadcasting from Titletown, USA, here's Joe Simon.
Well, as we record this, it's almost summer here in Wisconsin, and people get crazy about things when the temperature gets over 70 degrees around here. So we're pretty excited today, and welcome into another Joe Simon podcast. We have an exciting show for you as my earbud just fell out. What we have is a subject matter expert, Steve Schwartzer's in the house, and we're gonna this particular podcast, we're gonna cover so much in 20 minutes that it's going to leave you breathless, because this is a podcast that we're gearing specifically for employers with less than, let's say, 100 employees, or executive directors who are scratching their head, talking to their membership directors going, how can we retain and attract more corporate members that have employees? Because we're all going through the same thing. We want great employees. We want great talent. We want to attract them. We want to retain them. We want to invest in them. But it takes time and money, and it frankly is getting more challenging on Main Street, USA. Underline Main Street, USA. These are what the Department of Labor would say are employers that have less than 500 employees. They call those small employers. Well, you're sitting there thinking, well, I have 5. I'm a small employer. Well, listen up. This is for you. And what we're going to cover today is, let's just go to the agenda quickly. We're going to look at recruiting and retaining employees, big business benefits for small business budgets. Fixed cost budgets are going to fit in here. Some customization is going to be available. And the all-important ROI. We're going to talk about how we can get some ROI from our employee benefits. And finally, increased employee engagement. We love employees that are engaged, seeing some very interesting studies out there right now. But right now, let's call in Steve Schwartzer, an associate of ours who is a subject matter expert when it comes to what we're talking about today. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Joe. How you doing? Thanks for having me on the podcast today.
My pleasure. We have so much to cover, and so now everybody's at the edge of their seat. An associate director, association director, a membership director, small business owner saying, yeah, this timing couldn't be better because I've got to figure this out. In fact, we need to hire 3 more employees. I don't know how I'm going to do all of this. So we'll have some solutions. Steve, the reason you're here today is because you live, eat, and breathe this. I'm involved around the edges with you, but when I need a surgeon, I call you, you scrub your hands, and you get in here and you really get at it. And we've got some projects we're working on that we won't mention any names right now, but we know from Main Street USA, putting our finger on the pulse of things, that this is a timely topic. And so maybe what you could do is just sort of what our appetite when we talk about the agenda today. Let's just start with, why is this a recruiter and a retainer, where we're going with this thing called voluntary benefits?
Sure. Well, the particular program that we have developed, which is called the Defined Contribution Plan, helps employers, especially those small to medium-sized businesses, recruit and retain employees by offering them a lot of choices and offering the employees a lot of choices. And that's something that's very difficult for small businesses to be able to do, is to offer a large number of benefit plans, because there's so much requirement when it comes to certain participation requirements, employer contribution requirements, that it just becomes overwhelming for any small to medium-sized business to really add a large benefit offering like the big businesses are able to do. Especially when there's only usually one person in a small business handling those benefits, whether that be the owner, the office manager, or, if they do have an HR person, that one HR person. So we're able to implement this plan to make it easy for them.
Key phrase, big business. That catches my ear. That's not the enemy. We're going to use this as leverage today in this conversation. We want to talk about the law of large numbers. And one of the things that you and I have both been involved with over the years, it seems to take a recess, but it really didn't. You in particular are just going at it in a very great way scratching and coming up with this. How are we able to create this vast portfolio of selections for employees, for employers with a very small number? Let's pick that employer that has 100 or less employees down to 2 employees. Let's just pick that target for a minute. What are we doing, Steve, that all of a sudden we're getting the attention like a company that has 1,000 employees?
A lot of it has to do with one of our main carriers that provides this product, Companion Life. When you look at businesses in the United States, about 80% of those are all small businesses. And a lot of times, our industry, when I say ours, I mean the insurance industry, they always target the larger businesses, 100 plus thousands. They're looking at those big businesses when it comes to relaxing some of their underwriting requirements and what they're willing to do for them. Well, Companion has developed this program to kind of relax some of those considerations for the small businesses, because we know that small business does drive America. And there are a lot of our fellow citizens that are employed by those businesses, like the range that you said, 2 to 100. So
Very interesting. Let's talk about flexibility. So we build this beautiful, big, beautiful voluntary benefit plan. It's up and running. Employees love it. But we're also seeing, Steve, compared to somebody that says we tried that, we put it in place, and it just kind of sits there. And you know what, frankly, as employees come and go, they're not getting into this anymore. That's a whole nother subject that we can help you solve, right, Steve? But what I want to get to is, so we have this thing, and the key word is flexibility, because 10, 15 years ago, the way it used to be was you get in it and you stay in it. So you want voluntary dental, you want voluntary life insurance, you want voluntary accident. You get in it and you don't want it anymore, and you're still employed there. You can get out of it at the end of the year, but guess what? You're going to have a really hard time getting back into it 2 years from now, once you get married and have children or something like that. So times have changed. Let's talk about flexibility.
yeah, so the flexibility of the program itself does allow them to come on and off the plan. A lot of it has to do with if they have a Section 125 plan in place. Sometimes when that's included, as you know, the IRS wants you to stay in there for a certain amount of time. But if that's not included, we do allow mid-year drops. We don't like a lot of the mid-year ads unless there's a qualifying event. But we have a lot of flexibility that if there's something that needs to be done, we can usually get it done because of the years that we put in with the company and putting this together.
So if we had to try to create some measurements, and this is leading up to return on investment, the ROI, how does this work? I'm an employer watching this right now. Let's keep it to that point, to keep it as simple as term here. I have a number of employees. I'm making benefits decisions constantly, and then we kind of pull the trigger once a year and do some things, some modifying, some enhancing, things like that. How do we do this? How does someone like our organization come alongside them and walk them through it? How do we communicate it? What kind of results do we get when we take it to that measure?
Sure. Because of the way the program is set up as a defined contribution program, the employer is going to contribute a certain dollar amount for each employee to empower them to use those funds to buy the benefits they want and need for their families. And we live in a multi-generational workforce right now, which means we still have some people from the great generation to Generation X and Z, and I'm not even sure of all the alphabet letters that included with some of the newer generations, but we have that multi-generational workforce, and everybody has a different, want or need for them and their families. And so how this works is the employer then decides that contribution. It can be as low as $25 per month per employee, Joe. So very inexpensive for them to be able to offer this. Let's say you have a 10-person group. They're looking at a buy-in of about $250 a month to allow those employees to get voluntary life, dental, disability, vision, critical illness, hospital indemnity, accident, identity theft, or telemedicine. So we offer like 10 different benefits, and the employees get to pick and choose cafeteria style. And they can use those funds that the employer empowers them with to get whatever they want and need.
So
And
wait a
so
minute,
that
Steve. Let me interrupt you there. So that's a litany of things there, but you know what? I'm not interested in all of those. I just want. We don't offer a dental plan. That's all I want. You're just giving me too much there. How do you talk to a person like me?
Well, we allow you to offer whatever you want. That's the part of the flexibility. So the flexibility doesn't always go just to the employee getting what they want. It goes to the employer on getting whatever they want to offer. Now, we always think more choices are better to a limit, obviously. But if an employer doesn't want to offer a certain benefit, they don't have to. They can customize the plan just like the employee can customize what they enroll in.
Let's go to some facts and figures. This is from LIMRA at the end of 2024. Let's take a look at that. I know that's a lot of information on that screen. Can you see that, Steve?
I do not see the Limerick screen,
Okay,
but
what
I'm
we're
familiar.
what we're looking at there is what's happened over the last year, 2024, and we'll see that term life insurance, permanent and total, the premium at the end of Q4 24 was up 10%. The year end was up 8%. Disability insurance, very interesting. So long term disability went up 7%. So these are people selecting voluntary benefits, paying for this themselves with a small employer contribution. But when we look at short term disability for the fourth quarter 2024, it actually was up at 6%. But for the year end, it was down 3%. We'll get back to that in a sec. And then finally, the supplemental health, accident, critical illness, cancer, and hospital indemnity, all showing growth again. The largest one is critical illness for the year ending 2024 was up 16%. Can you address what's happening in the critical illness category? What has been your experience there, Steve?
Well, it would make sense as we see health insurance premiums rise, we see employers going to larger deductible plans. And so employees are smart enough to realize that, hey, if this happens, if something happens to me, I'm not going to be able to afford that. And so they look at ways to supplement, like as you noted, their risk. And so the risk that they're supplementing is being able to implement a critical illness plan that will pay them a lump sum benefit based on a diagnosis or a condition that happens to them. So they're looking to offset their just reduce their risk and mitigate some of those possible out of pocket expenses.
I know one thing. I noticed two things that weren't on that Limmer report was vision and dental. We've created, with your guidance, Steve, an unbelievable dental plan. We're not going to get into the details today. That's a tickler. That's the teaser. If you want to see how something like this works on a voluntary basis, you need to reach out to me. We'll give you some information at the end of the program here. But for that employer that never had or did and then canceled it, it was probably a big deal when you canceled dental benefits. We've got a solution there. One of the things we know from a LIMRA report, and LIMRA's an organization that's bipartisan, no insurance incentives to report what they do. They're well respected. They kind of walk right down the middle of the road on their data. They just collect it and deliver the information. We still know that 41% of Americans, the only amount of life insurance that they have is through what their employer offers. So think about that for a minute. If you're an employer, are you offering $1 million of life insurance to your employees? 100,000, 50,000, 25,000? It's probably, wouldn't you agree, Steve, around that $25,000 mark or so?
Absolutely, if not even a little bit less.
Yeah. So that's our concern today is America's underinsured. And what your employer is offering to you as an employee, if you're listening right now, it's just not enough. So we're going to show you ways to make it easy on your pocketbook. We're going to make it easy for employers to see how they can enhance and I guess try to increase, and it's the final bullet on our agenda, employee satisfaction. A big one in culture. Culture's essential. And those are the hard things that we work on to make easy for you. I guess the bonus part to this, Steve, as we maybe have about 4 more minutes on our conversation here that we want to get into is, so this is our bonus if you're an executive director or if you're an employer who belongs to your favorite association, and you're wondering, I wonder if they could gather those big numbers, the principles of using large numbers and making all of these small employers one big employer with the independence of having your own companies and not selling out on anything. But can we use the power of big numbers to buy some great benefits at a very affordable rate, more so than Joe's barber shop with 25 employees could get on their own?
Yeah, and that's how the defined contribution plan is set up. It's set up to act as that association plan that's going to be able to offer those big business benefits to those smaller to medium sized businesses. And the proof is in kind of in the numbers for these things. We know that businesses, based on some studies that we've done on actual numbers through our enrollment software, that the average plans that are being offered are 3.61 plans in 2022. I don't know how you offer 0.61 plans, but it's just that those are the numbers that worked out. So about 3.5 plans are being offered, and right now they can offer 10 based on this plan. This is defined contribution and association plan. And that just provides, again, that choice for the employees. And you mentioned something earlier, Joe. You mentioned easy. You said easy a couple times. This is very easy because you are not trying to round up employees. A lot of times employers have had the experience where they've tried to offer some benefits and they didn't get enough employees to get those benefits. And, I've been in meetings where other people have been asking, hey, we just need 2 more people to get a vision benefit. Who's willing to enroll? You never want to be put in that spot as an employer.
Right.
You want to just make it available. And that's what we do with this plan. If you had, let's just say, a 20-person group and only one person wanted dental, we're going to give that to them. We're not going to require a certain amount of people to get that dental plan. And so now they're be able to get that dental plan without having to worry about getting more employees into it. So
let me ask you here. Let's address the subject of, I'm listening. This almost sounds too good to be true. I'm an employer that's a member of an association. I'm on the board of directors for this association, or I'm the executive director. And businesses that belong to associations are fiercely independent. So keyword independent. What does that business lose if they join into, what kind of independence do they lose if they join into this association type of benefit offering? What kind of flexibility and independence do they still retain?
100%. And that's the beauty of this particular association plan. Because we allow, the contract is with the employer and the insurance company, not necessarily with the association. The association is there to make it available to their members and to kind of market it and let it know that it's there. But everything is directly with the employer and the insurance carriers. And so that's another great thing as far as ease goes. It's very easy for an association to offer this. And it's also very helpful for them to attract new members, because for those smaller groups, they can't access this on the street regularly.
Key.
They have to access it
That's
through the
key.
association to be able to get these type of flexible benefits that they can offer on a very easy basis without having to jump through all the hoops that you normally have to jump through for an insurance
Okay, Steve, 30 seconds or less. How would we sum up what we're talking about today here?
Well, we'd sum it up that this is a program that just gives choice. It gives choice to the employer, it gives choice to the employees, and it allows everyone to get what they need from the benefit plan. From the employer being able to offer it to help recruit and retain business, to getting the maximum return on their investment for it, because the money that they're giving the employees are spent based on what the employees want. So there's never going to be wasteful money in this. And so that is it. And you get all around customer satisfaction from all ends of it when you implement the defined contribution plan.
It's one of those things that we just have to work it out. We need to gather information from you, the employer. We need to sit down with the executive director and probably your finance committee at your association to start the conversation. We're building a rocket ship. It takes time. and we need to have the right elements and components to put together. We like to typically start with some form of a survey that we would reach out to, if you're an association, to your members, to really see what our blueprint could be. There's so many choices. We don't want to take a shotgun approach. We want to make sure this is tailor-made to you, your business, your association. So sorry we're out of time today, but I appreciate Steve Schwartzer stopping by, our associate expert, subject matter expert on this. He's our go-to guy when you come to us and you want to talk to us about how are we going to do this. You've got me interested. Convince me this is not too good to be true. So, Steve, thanks for joining us today.
Joe, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And for you listening at home or in your office or on your way somewhere, as always, have a prosperous day.
You've been listening to the Joe Simon Podcast. Big ideas with powerful stories and real-time solutions. Business succession planning, executive benefits, employee benefits, tax beneficial savings, and more. Remember, information discussed here today is dated and not specific to your situation. Always seek personal counsel from qualified advisors. For more about Joe Simon, go to DaVinciInsurance.com. Joe Simon is a licensed insurance agent in the state of Wisconsin. Licensed to advise on accident and health, life insurance, disability insurance, and annuities, as well as qualified long-term care insurance. Make sure to visit the DaVinciInsurance.com archives for more of our podcasts.